Dave knows how.
Okay, so let's start working on getting this thing put back together and see what we can do with it. So we're gonna mount this plate that we've painted. You've seen that already, right on here, just like this. We went on and got some flat washers, which this thing actually came with flat washers, so we can probably use the flat washers that came with it. We got some lock washers. And I think we're gonna throw some lock washers on there. So these are the bolts that came out. We'll put a lock washer, then a flat washer, and get him started. Lock washer, flat washer. Lock washer, flat washer. And last one, lock washer and a flat washer. And we're not wrenching down on this thing super duper tight, but we're definitely torquing down on her. Don't want it to vibrate loose. And this is basically going to be a dry run, okay? So we got the lock washers on there to keep it from vibrating loose while we test it. Once we know that everything's lined up right like it's supposed to be, we'll take each one of these bolts out one at a time and put a little drop of Loctite on there. We're not going to put any permanent Loctite. We're just going to put some of the blue Loctite. It's a non-permanent, just to give it a little extra locking power to keep that thing from coming off. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I guess really the next part that we can put on, because mounting the plate is pretty much the majority of the thing that we needed to do. We're gonna put a little grease on this shaft. This shaft is already showing signs of a little bit of rust, but we got some grease right here. We're gonna put a little grease on this shaft to help with rust and to help keep this thing from seizing up on here. slick him up a little bit. Okay. Set that off to the side. And now we will get this PTO shaft moved around. See if we can start sliding him up on there. Just like that. Come back around here. We've got this locking ring. We don't want to forget that. That locking ring goes on the very end of there. They're not always easy to put on. Let me get my glasses. See if I can see this thing a little better. Okay. Okay, so the locking ring is, it went right on actually. Pretty easy. Okay, and now we're going to slide this way, right there. Rotate this around until the bolt lines up. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of grease on this bolt. And I'm mainly just putting this on here to help dissipate water, keep this from rusting in there and season up. I don't know why that thing ain't going down in there. It should go in there a little easier than that, but it's not. Let's see. And we'll go ahead and get this started on the bottom. And this is actually 19 millimeter. I know I said it was a 3/4, but it's actually a 19 millimeter. 3/4 does fit on there, but it's actually metric. That's pretty tight. That's pretty tight right there. All right, so that looks pretty good. All right, so I bought these wing nuts. They're 5/16 18 wing nuts that fit on those studs. Get 2 of them out. And I bought some flat washers. We'll get 2 of them out. And we'll put those flat washers and the wing nuts on the back side of here. Run over here real quick and pop one of them covers off, bring it back over here, and we'll throw that up on there and do a dry fit, see how it's gonna look. Okay, so we got the weld seam at the bottom, and the loop for the chain is at the bottom. We got it pushed up on there. We're going to go ahead and put a flat washer up on that stud, then a wing nut. Whoops. So there's our wing nut, flat washer. We'll tighten this one up. Finger tight first. And we'll go ahead and put one on the other side. So we got a chain right here, and our chain is going to hook right on this loop. So we're just going to snap it right down on there just like that. And it should be fine. And hopefully this will give you a little bit different view from this other camera angle as to what this thing looks like. Now when we need to spin the clutch, service the universal joints, that type of thing, all we need to do is loosen these wing nuts up. And if you don't want to use wing nuts, if you don't trust wing nuts to not vibrate loose, and that's something that I'm battling with in my mind, if you know wing nuts are really the way to go with this thing, you can always put nylon locking nuts on there, and they certainly probably would not vibrate loose and back off. Now when we loosen that up, we'll go ahead and unwrap the chain like that. Take this wing nut off on this side. We can slide that back like that. And now we can get here and service our clutch pack. We can get down in here, we can rotate this thing around, get down in here, and we can grease our PTO universal joint. You know, everything is just so much more accessible to get to and work on. I mean, to me, this modification is just well worth doing, because it's extremely important to spin your clutch, you know, every year, if not twice a year, to make sure it's working and functioning properly. With the original Stroud that comes with these brush hogs, these plastic things, you've got this as an access hole to get in to do everything you need to do. Adjust the clutch, grease the universals, and you just can't do it. You know, if you go back and look at my video that I did on this brush hog when I first got this brush hog, and that was one of the things that I talked about, because when I first got this brush hog, I slipped the clutch on it to make sure it was working properly, and I had a dickens of a time, you know, getting this thing set back up. So the next part of the video we're going to do is we're going to hook this brush hog up to the tractor. We're going to raise it up, lower it down, and check all of the angles that this PTO shaft will be on to make sure that it's not going to interfere with the shroud that we've manufactured. It should not be an interference issue at all, because it didn't interfere with this one as far as length this way. But one thing about this one that's different than this one, you'll notice this one is oval, egg shaped. That one is round. This one being egg shaped, it has more travel here, and that's how it bolts on there. So that PTO shaft can hinge up and down. You know, when you raise the thing up, it can hinge down to there. When you lower it down, it can hinge down to there and never hit this shroud. Will it be an issue with this shroud? I don't know. And we won't know until we put it on the tractor and raise it up as high as it'll go and lower it down and see how much clearances that we do have. When we do that, we're also going to go ahead and spin the clutch to make sure it's functioning properly and grease everything on it that needs to be greased. The fitting right here to grease the shroud, the safety shroud, the universal joint in there, and of course the other end as well. So let's get the tractor over here and get this thing hooked up and shoot some more video. It's looking good, man.
Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.